Over 1,000 bikers rolled into Palm Springs, California this past weekend. Black leather vests, Mongol warrior patches, roaring motorcycles. But they weren't alone. Helicopters circled overhead. Drones monitored every movement. Hundreds of law enforcement officers from multiple agencies deployed across the city. By Monday morning, 22 arrests, 9 firearms seized. This wasn't just a motorcycle club meeting. This was one of the most intense police surveillance operations of the year. The Mongols Motorcycle Club had arrived for their annual national run, and law enforcement was ready. This is what happened when 1,000 bikers came to town under the watchful eyes of police. On Friday, October 3rd, 2025, Palm Springs Police Chief Andrew Mills posted a stark message on Facebook. The Mongols Motorcycle Club was descending on his city for their annual national run. Mills made it clear this wasn't going to be a quiet weekend. "Mongols roll deep, we roll deeper," he wrote, posting a photo of a room packed with law enforcement officers from multiple agencies. The post was accompanied by ACDC's Highway to Hell. The Palm Springs Police Department issued a community alert warning residents about heightened police activity throughout the weekend. There will be heightened police activity involving multiple agencies in the city of Palm Springs this weekend. This is due to the Mongol National Run. Multiple motorcycles may be seen in the area. National Run. Multiple motorcycles may be seen in the area. The Mongols had chosen Hotel Zoso in downtown Palm Springs as their headquarters. Police estimated around 1,000 members would attend, with overflow staying at nearby Hilton and Hyatt hotels. They were coming from all over the United States for what the gang calls church, a national business meeting where members elect their president and conduct club affairs. This wasn't the first time the Mongols held their national run in Palm Springs. The club has been meeting in the desert city on and off for over 15 years. Lieutenant Gustavo Araiza, spokesman for the Palm Springs Police Department, explained that the club notifies police ahead of time, and the department responds with a coordinated law enforcement presence. But Chief Mills took a more aggressive stance. In his Facebook post, he described the Mongols as an outlaw motorcycle gang whose members were convicted criminals. He stated that in just the first few hours on Friday, police had already seized 3 guns along with other contraband from gang members. The operation involved far more than just local police. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department deployed units. California Highway Patrol sent officers. The Riverside District Attorney's Office coordinated prosecution efforts. Police from neighboring cities provided backup. Residents would see drones flying overhead. Helicopters patrolled from above. Mills emphasized that ICE and Homeland Security investigations were not part of the operation, an important clarification given concerns about federal immigration enforcement. Who are the Mongols? To understand why law enforcement mobilized such massive resources, you need to know what the Mongols Motorcycle Club represents. The Mongols Motorcycle Club was founded on December 5, 1969, in Montebello, California. The club had 10 founding members, most of them Vietnam veterans. They named themselves after Genghis Khan and the Mongol Empire, a deliberate choice to project power and intimidation. The club's first national president, Louis Costello, chose the name to honor the legendary conqueror. The original sergeant-at-arms, Alfonso Big Al Aceves, had served 3 tours of duty in Vietnam with the 101st Airborne Division. These weren't casual motorcycle enthusiasts. These were hardened men seeking brotherhood and purpose after returning from war. The Mongols formed as an alternative to the Hells Angels, which at the time did not allow non-white members. The club's founders were primarily Hispanic bikers from East Los Angeles who wanted their own organization. In 1974, the Mongols voted to become an outlaw club, meaning they rejected the authority of law enforcement and mainstream society. The club expanded rapidly, recruiting heavily from California prisons, particularly the California Men's Colony in San Luis Obispo. Within 10 years of its foundation, the Mongols had established chapters across Southern California, including Los Angeles, the San Gabriel Valley, the San Fernando Valley, Long Beach, San Diego, and Bakersfield. The United States Department of Justice officially designates the Mongols as an organized crime group. According to the DOJ, the Mongols pose an extremely violent criminal threat to the Pacific and southwestern regions of the United States. The agency states that Mongols members engage in criminal activities including violent crime, weapons trafficking, drug trafficking, assault, intimidation, and murder. The Mongols membership consists primarily of Hispanic males, though the club now accepts members from various backgrounds. Law enforcement estimates the club has approximately 2,000 full-patch members worldwide, with chapters in the United States, Australia, Belgium, France, Germany, Brazil, Italy, Malaysia, Mexico, Canada, Indonesia, Singapore, Sweden, and Thailand. The club's trademarked logo depicts a caricature of a Mongol warrior, reportedly Genghis Khan, sporting a topknot, bell-bottoms, sunglasses, and riding a motorcycle. Members wear this patch on their colors, the leather vests that signify membership. According to law enforcement, specific patches carry deadly significance. A skull and crossbones patch allegedly indicates the member has killed on behalf of the club. A tattoo reading RFFN, an acronym for Respect Few, Fear None, is reportedly only permitted for members who have committed acts of violence against Hells Angels members. The club's mottos include Live Mongol, Die Mongol, and Mongols Forever, Forever Mongols. These phrases reflect the gang's emphasis on absolute loyalty and brotherhood unto death. Criminal history. The Mongols' criminal history explains why police responded with such overwhelming force in Palm Springs. The club became involved in a violent feud with the Hells Angels beginning in 1977. The core of the conflict centered on control of the methamphetamine trade in California. On September 5, 1977, Mongol President Emerson Morris and member Raymond Smith were ambushed and gunned down by Hells Angels while riding home from a bike run. Both men died. The violence escalated throughout the decades. On May 21, 2017, Mongols member Joshua Ryan Herbert opened fire on 5 Hells Angels bikers, refueling their motorcycles at a Shell gas station in Riverside, California. Herbert killed one Hells Angel, James Duty, and wounded another. He was convicted of first-degree murder and attempted murder as an active participant in a criminal street gang. Federal prosecutors have successfully convicted Mongols members in multiple large-scale RICO cases. In Tennessee, 6 members of the Clarksville Mongols chapter were convicted in early 2025 of racketeering conspiracy, including murder, kidnapping, drug trafficking, and other crimes. From 2015 to 2017, that chapter distributed more than 50 pounds of nearly pure methamphetamine worth approximately $1 million. One of the most horrific crimes involved the May 22, 2015 kidnapping and murder of a young mother. The Clarksville Mongols believed she had stolen narcotics, money, and firearms. They kidnapped her at gunpoint, drove her to a secluded cemetery, and shot her numerous times, killing her. In October 2008, federal agencies arrested nearly 80 Mongols members in Operation Black Rain, the culmination of a years-long undercover investigation. 4 male ATF agents had successfully infiltrated the gang and become full-patch members. 4 female ATF agents posed as their girlfriends. The undercover agents endured rigorous scrutiny, including polygraph tests and background checks by private investigators hired by the gang. The Justice Department tried an unprecedented legal strategy, attempting to seize the Mongols' trademark and logo under civil forfeiture laws. In January 2019, a federal jury convicted the Mongol nation of RICO violations and ordered forfeiture of their logos. The jury found the criminal organization responsible for murder, attempted murder, narcotics trafficking, and methamphetamine transactions. However, appeals courts later overturned the trademark forfeiture, ruling it violated First Amendment rights to free expression and Eighth Amendment protections from excessive punishment. More recently, in July 2025, the FBI arrested 28 Mongols members during Operation Mongolian Beef in Florida. The arrests followed a violent brawl that escalated to a shooting during Bike Week in New Smyrna Beach on March 8, 2025. All 28 members were charged with aggravated rioting, participating in a riot involving 25 or more people, a second-degree felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison. In April 2025, 2 Mongols members were charged with the assault and murder of a Vagos motorcycle gang member at a bar in Ontario, California. Clifford Michael Lavoie and Julian Pulido allegedly confronted the victim, who was wearing Vagos clothing, and told him he needed to show respect to Mongols members. They assaulted him, and when he tried to flee, Pulido allegedly shot him multiple times in the back. The victim bled out on the sidewalk. These are just examples from a pattern of violence spanning decades. The Mongols are affiliated with Mexican Mafia and Sureños in Southern California, and with Nuestra Familia and Norteños in Northern California. Supplied by the Tijuana cartel, the Mongols are involved in wholesale cocaine distribution in the Los Angeles area. The weekend operation. With this criminal background in mind, Palm Springs police prepared for the worst. The operation began Friday afternoon as Mongols members started arriving at Hotel Zoso. A Desert Sun reporter observed a massive law enforcement presence near the downtown hotel. Officers from multiple agencies positioned themselves throughout the area. Within the first few hours on Friday, police had already seized 3 firearms from gang members. Chief Mills posted updates showing the room full of officers at Hotel Zoso, making it clear that law enforcement was embedded throughout the venue. Throughout Friday night and into Saturday, Mongols members in their distinctive leather vests and patches could be seen riding motorcycles through downtown Palm Springs. Residents reported hearing the roar of hundreds of bikes as groups traveled between hotels and meeting locations. Police conducted continuous traffic enforcement throughout the weekend. Lieutenant Areza explained that officers were doing traffic enforcement, making sure they're following the rules of the road. Approximately 150 people were stopped for traffic violations during the 3-day event. The aerial surveillance component was extensive. Residents saw helicopters circling overhead at various times throughout the weekend. Drones monitored crowd movements and documented any incidents. This surveillance footage would be crucial if any violent incidents occurred. Despite the heavy police presence, the weekend proceeded relatively peacefully compared to what could have happened. There were no major violent incidents, no shootings, no mass brawls. The overwhelming show of force appeared to have its intended effect, maintaining order through deterrence. However, police were far from idle. Officers made strategic arrests throughout the weekend based on weapons violations, outstanding warrants, and other charges. The operation was methodical and targeted, focusing on removing the most dangerous individuals while monitoring the broader group. Sunday afternoon, as the national run concluded, Mongols members began departing Palm Springs. The roar of motorcycles heading out of town marked the end of the 3-day gathering. As the last bikers left, police began their final sweep and documentation of the operation. The final tally. On Monday, October 6, 2025, Chief Mills released the official results of the weekend operation. 22 arrests, 9 firearms seized, multiple weapons confiscated, other contraband recovered. Mills issued a statement explaining the significance. When outlaw motorcycle gangs descend on a city while armed illegally, there is always the potential for graphic violence. Palm Springs Police, along with support from the California Highway Patrol, Riverside Sheriff's Department, and others, did a marvelous job setting the tone of what is acceptable in our city. The chief drew a clear distinction between the Mongols and other groups that visit Palm Springs. We welcome many groups and conventions to our city. Rarely do we have to make arrests. The Mongols are the exception. The names of those arrested and specific charges were not immediately released, but police indicated the arrests were directly related to the Mongols' presence and activities during the national run. The operation represented a significant investment of law enforcement resources. Hundreds of officers worked overtime throughout the weekend. Multiple agencies coordinated their efforts. The use of helicopters and drones added substantial costs. But from law enforcement's perspective, the investment was necessary to prevent potential violence. Lieutenant Araiza noted that police had been particularly concerned about informing the public about the increased law enforcement presence. With ongoing concerns about federal immigration enforcement, the department wanted to make absolutely clear that CE, and Homeland Security investigations were not part of this operation. This was purely a public safety operation focused on a known criminal organization. The Mongols' annual national run had been held in Palm Springs for over a decade without major incidents. This successful track record suggested that the massive police presence was effective. The deterrent effect of visible law enforcement kept violent incidents from occurring. The October 2025 Mongols National Run in Palm Springs demonstrated the complex challenge law enforcement faces with outlaw motorcycle gangs. On one hand, the Mongols argue they are a legitimate motorcycle club with First Amendment rights to assembly and free speech. Current club president David Santillan denies that the club as a whole is a criminal enterprise. Club attorneys claim the Mongols have changed their code of conduct to exclude drug abusers and criminals. On the other hand, the Department of Justice officially designates them as an organized crime group. Dozens of Mongols members have been convicted of serious federal crimes, including murder, drug trafficking, racketeering, and weapons violations. The club's history is marked by decades of violence, and their current membership includes many convicted criminals. Palm Springs Police Chief Mills took an aggressive public stance, describing the operation as meeting the threat head-on and posting photos with "Highway to Hell" playing in the background. His approach drew criticism from some who felt it was unnecessarily antagonistic. But from Mills's perspective, the 22 arrests and 9 seized firearms justified the operation. The Mongols' national run will likely return to Palm Springs next year. The club has made the desert city their traditional gathering place. And when they return, law enforcement will once again mobilize hundreds of officers, deploy helicopters and drones, and watch every movement. This is the reality of policing outlaw motorcycle gangs in 2025. Over 1,000 bikers under watch all weekend. Massive police operations costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. Dozens of arrests. And the knowledge that without this overwhelming presence, the potential for graphic violence remains very real. The weekend ended peacefully, not because the Mongols had changed, but because law enforcement made it clear they were ready for anything. As Chief Mills said, "Mongols roll deep, we roll deeper."